West Ham United are set to sign a Brazilian player. That's the second time I've said this in this transfer window so far. The first one, it fell through. So my confidence isn't too high about this one. Guilherme is reportedly getting on a plane as we speak to fly over to have his medical at West Ham United tomorrow ahead of signing a deal at the London Stadium. We're also going to discuss the potential third goalkeeper. Defensively, what is going on there? Are we going to have any defenders left come the end of June? A little bit about Ben Johnson, Aaron Creswell, and everything else in between. I've got two fantastic guests joining me. Gary, how are you?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Mike, how are you, mate?
Yeah, fine, mate. Thanks.
It's been 17 days since we've been together. It's felt like an age, gentlemen, but we are back here. We've had a little bit of a rest and recuperation. The transfer window isn't officially open yet, but boy, West Ham actually started doing some business, or tried at least, to do some business. The deal for Fabrizio Bruno fell through. Well, we got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Everything was done, but it wasn't. So that fell through, and now we're in a similar position with Guilherme. Now, I'm going to head over to our Brazilian correspondent, Gary, who knows everything about this player now, and is going to give us a full insight into this player and what he's going to bring to West Ham United, Gary.
I think you mean the Portuguese friend Gary you've got, not me.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a funny time of year, the transfer window, because you get excited about players a month ago you've never heard of. So, I don't know too much about the kid, but, let's hope he's more a Payet stroke, Lanzini signing rather than a Savio. So let's see what we end up with. It's a massive risk. You're paying 30 million quid for a kid. By all accounts, he's a good player. So I'm glad we got a chance to get him. And it's always positive to have an exciting youngster to join our ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know a great deal about him. To be fair, if any of us are going to sit here and go, we know a great deal about him, we're lying, because I'd never heard of him before last week. But it's interesting. It's obviously Tim Steiden's work over in Brazil is starting to pay dividends, because we're being linked with every Brazilian going. So, yeah, interested, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been watching him, haven't they? Other clubs were interested as well, so that tells you something. Yeah, it's the Brazilian league. We've seen snippets of what he can do in that, but the Premier League's a different story altogether, isn't it? Full stop. Yep. This guy, he looks to have the ingredients of what we need. He looks strong. He looks quick. So they must see something they can work with.
Yeah, absolutely. 18 years of age. Apparently he's quite a versatile player on transfer market. It's telling me he can play left wing, right wing, and through the middle. Didn't play too many games in the league last season, just 5 with the 1 goal. So he's broken in the 2023-24 season into the Palmeiras side, and we've identified him as a target. And it looks like we're bringing the right winger predominantly to East London. So that was the latest from Fabrizio Romano 20 minutes ago, and it was that he's getting on a plane and he's getting himself over to East London. He'll depart from Brazil to London later tonight, landing on Monday, and is set for medical tests to become a new West Ham player. The plan is confirmed. So look, it will be interesting. I'll believe it when I see it, and there's only so much you can go off of our very lackluster knowledge and Twitter compilations. We'll see. And we will see. The proof will be in the pudding once we get in the pre-season, and once we get in to the Premier League season, how much of a how much involvement he's going to have in the Premier League season at 18 years old, I've got no idea, but we will soon find out, I am sure. Let's see who's in the chat. Usual suspect. Good evening. Hope everybody is well. Troj as well. Yeah. Mum's going to have to take that tonight. I didn't get an invite. I didn't want one, but nevertheless, I still didn't get one. So,
good escape there. Lucky escape there, Jake. Well done.
Very good. Very good indeed. Oh, they'll be there making their money. So take that, send all their t-shirts, 30 quid a pop, the programs, the scarves, all that. Get the money in. Get the money. But these people can't see that coming, can they? But
no.
We can't say much. We spend hundreds and thousands of pounds a year going and watching the crap football. So maybe I'll retract that slightly. Next on the topic debate is something that caused a little bit of a Twitter storm last week, and that was about us signing a third choice goalkeeper. Now, we announced last week, Mike, that Jose Fernandes is leaving when his contract expires at the end of June. He's gone, a free agent. So that leaves a hole in the third choice goalkeeper. Now, people thought Nathan Trott, who's been out on loan, was going to come in and be our third choice keeper. That's not the case. He's going back out on loan, and we're going to bring in Wes Foderingham, who's been let go by relegated Sheffield United, who conceded over 100 goals last season. Is this a cause for concern? Do you think this is just a simple, I don't know what it is. I mean, David Martin, we had to use him 5 years ago, didn't we? What do you make of
it? How many games is he going to play, to be totally honest? Like I said, Jake, David Martin, he had a couple of games, they need someone just in case, don't they?
Yeah.
Worst happens, they get injuries. So, yeah, I understand it. Is he a free transfer?
Yeah.
I mean, just, he's filling a role, isn't he? And that's all there is to it.
Look, it's gonna be cheap wages. Yes, he's 33 years of age, but our second choice keeper's 39 years of age, so we shouldn't really be talking about age in this situation. He shipped a hell of a lot of goals last season, but was all of that down to him? Probably not. You've got to look at what's in front of him as well. Sheffield United were appalling in every single way, shape, or form. We still didn't beat him at Bramall Lane, but anyway. It's just a hole to fill. As I said, Gary, cheap wages, not really going to play. Hopefully, he doesn't have to play. And until they deem Nathan Trott is ready, hopefully that's a season after, then a one season, get him in just in case, pay him the money, and then he should go.
Yeah. I mean, he should fit in fine. He's used to letting in lots of goals behind a crappy defence, so he should set very quickly. And then... but I like Heggie. The Christian Heggie is my preferred youngster rather than Nathan Trott. It's coming through. So hopefully this signing doesn't preclude him getting the game in like the early rounds of the League Cup or the FA Cup, etc. Because I think he's got a lot of talent, that guy. And if you've got three senior goalkeepers, at some point they will expect to play, I think. But especially if he's only 33, because normally the third choice goalie is like Scott Carson or Robert Green or Darren Randolph, who are all about 106 and just about turning out their pension. So we'll see. So hope that they know what they're doing. In Lepetegi, we trust. Exactly.
Let's see who else is joining us in the chat. I see some of your comments. Where did we get to? I see Troy says seems we're going for Brazilian Irish blend for squad, so I'm excited about that. We look to be going on a full rebuild. Yeah, the only concern that I have with that is we seem to be having a full rebuild every summer, which tells you something is wrong. We had a rebuild last summer when we had about 15 players coming in. It seems like we're having to do the same again this season. Sean, he says, go on.
I was going to ask you, do you know where we are with the homegrown limit now in terms of our squad?
That is the concern. We're going to go on to Ben Johnson in just a second, and Wes Foderingham fits into that. We are currently short. I don't know how many of, but I've heard that we're short with that. So maybe that is an implication of trying to bring Wes Foderingham in and talking a little bit later about trying to keep Ben Johnson at the club because we're currently short in that capacity.
Okay.
So,
yeah. We let a few go, haven't we? So.
Yeah, Danny Ings could go as well, and that would minus that down further. So we have got to be careful in that sense. That is for sure. Sean says in a more proper manner, what's the general feeling target? So let's sort of delve into what we're doing here. So basically, we sent Tim Steiden off to Brazil, whether that was his choice or he's been ordered to, and we didn't really hear anything of it for a while. And now we're getting all of these. We've been bombarded with Brazilian players linked to the club. This isn't something that we've had in this sort of scale before. What are our generalized thoughts on this tactic, this sort of strategy? And do we think it's something that could work for the benefit of hindsight when we see how good these players, of course, are? But what's your opinion, first I'll come to you, Mike, on the strategy, firstly, of this?
Strategy is, I suppose, you look at Brazilian players, obviously Paqueta's been a superb player, take all the rest out of it. You look at a lot of Brazilians that have come over here. You look at the guy at Newcastle. They're good players, aren't they? If they get anywhere near pushing for a place in a Brazilian national team, but ones that are 18-year-old kids, you're taking a gamble, aren't you? You're taking it. I don't know, maybe one or two. I don't mind us going for one or two like that. You never know. You might unearth another, someone like Kudus, and make yourself a lot of money out of them. Or you might, it might be a total flop. You're taking a gamble. I'd sooner go for more tried and trusted players, even championship players.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, look how well we've done with people. Obviously, You've seen other teams picking up players through Championship teams. Look at Eze, come from QPR or whatever. Obviously, Gerard Bowen is the main one for us. I'd sooner take a bit of a gamble with some of them.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mike, Jake, because if you look at Gerard Bowen, Antonio, Cresswell, you would argue that probably those three have been arguably some of the better players we've had at the club in the last 10 years, and they all come from the Championship. My concern about targeted South American players is history has proven, obviously, South America is mainly Spanish with the Brazilian speaking Portuguese. Those clubs tend to have links with clubs in Spain and Portugal. So people like Vinicius Junior and that go to Real Madrid. Neymar goes into Barcelona. So they tend, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, to get the cream of the crop because they have natural linguistic advantages over us. So the fact we're coming in, not second-hand is probably the wrong word, but we're sort of sniffing around as an English team, paying a lot of money for an 18-year-old. It does concern me a little bit. Because the other Brazilian we got in reserves, what's his name? Luizao, was it?
Luizao, yeah.
He hasn't done very well at all, has he? So, no. I don't know. The thing that really concerns me, Jake, is the money. It seems like a lot of money on something that's very unproven because, resale value will be if he doesn't play. I don't know. So, to summarise, I agree with Mike. I would target Championship players over South American players I've never heard of.
Yeah, this is the issue that we've got here is that under Moyes, it was very much Moyes and Championship players. Let's try and get those up. And look, Gerard Bowen's a perfect example of that. Tim Steidten has opted, and whoever's made the decision has opted. Now this was started before Lopetegui came in. I think we should stress that because he went to Brazil before Lopetegui came in. So this wasn't Lopetegui giving orders and him going there. This has been started before the new manager or the new head coach came to the club. There are concerns there, as you two have outlined quite clearly, of are they going to get up to speed with the league? Are they going to be good enough? And especially when you take an 18-year-old, and as Gary said, you're paying £20-30 million for an 18-year-old, bearing in mind our budget isn't massive this season. And we've got serious defensive problems, which we're going to get onto in a second, which I think should probably take priority over signing a right winger. Because we've already let defenders go and we're probably going to let more go. Look, it's a risky game. It's a game that we haven't played before. It's a game that we're probably not used to. If it pays off, we'll be sat there at Christmas going, brilliant. If it doesn't, we're going to find ourselves in deep, deep trouble. We find ourselves with a bunch of Brazilians that are lightweight, that aren't up to the speed of the league, that just don't adapt. And Gary makes the point about it's difficult coming over the language side of it as well. If they don't fit in, if it just doesn't work, then we're going to die on quite a big hill there in that sense, because we're chucking a load of our eggs into this basket. And my concern is that it just won't work practically, Mike.
It is a lot of money for a untried player, especially someone who's probably never left the country too many times. I mean, it's like I said, it's a total gamble. If it comes off, we're all smiling. But yeah, I mean, we've still got money to spend. I think people are saying, because of the Paqueta thing and all that, we might not have the dosh. But if you look at it, I think we're still looking at, signing probably 4 or 5 more players yet.
Yeah.
But you don't want to blow it all on a big gamble.
Absolutely. Now let's
on it. Yeah, on a gamble.
We don't know the exact amount of money that we've got to spend this summer, but we've been branded in the region of 80 to 85 million pounds. All of a sudden, if we go and spend 20 or 30 million quid on this guy, with a lot of defensive, in my opinion, a lot of defensive players, probably midfielders still need to come in. That doesn't leave us with a huge, sort of share of the cake left to spend, and that's my problem. It's a big gamble. It is Evelyn. I hope you are a well fresh fielder as well. This is my football manager strategy, so I can't really criticize it. Look, I know you're joking there, George, but there is a actual serious point to take out of that. It seems a little bit like football manager. We aren't playing with football manager. We're playing with reality of it. This is something that you do on football manager, and Tim Steidten has reignited it into real life. and I just hope it works. We've got no reason to question Tim Steidten so far with his start to West Ham, but it seems dubious, in my opinion, and I think we've all agreed on that. Andy, I hope you are well. Lone Star Londoner as well. Let's scroll down on some of these comments. Replace champions of Europe if we play like Brazil. We play like Brazil. Well, to be fair, we might be losing a Brazilian player as well, which we'll come on to a little bit later on in the show. Rumours we're selling Emerson. I did hear about that. We'll talk about that again. We've got just a look on paper. This looks like an utter defensive crisis at the moment, and that is the next topic. Mandy, I hope you are keeping well. Blah, blah, blah. Scrolling. Guilherme is rated as one of the best young players in Brazil. Brilliant. You know, we're not doubting his ability in the Brazilian league, but you bring him over to England. Will he cut it? I don't know. I really don't know. Brazilian players need the right setup and system to flourish. They probably need an arm around them as well, and they need some. I mean, could you use Felipe Anderson as an example? I don't know. A player, you know, sort of that's what we could be getting, you know, our hands onto here. A player that if you don't treat him right, if you don't show him and give him the resources, then you're going to struggle massively, you know, Gary?
No, absolutely. I think the other thing Mike touched on as well, if you're 18 years old, which Mike and I have been, you're not there yet, Jake, to move abroad to a foreign language is a massive thing. I lived abroad myself for nearly 10 years, and it's very difficult to accustom, even when I was 40 when I moved abroad. You know, this guy's going to be 18, probably does, maybe wrong, he probably doesn't know much English, in a strange country, away from his family. You know, that's a massive burden for the young lad to carry, on top of which he's got to play in the Premier League. So, you know, we have to be very, very careful and give the right, as Mandy said, the setup and system to flourish, because we need to have that support emotionally more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. That is for sure. We will take some more of your comments. Our youth system our youth setup sounds crap. Hearing embarrassing things. Well, to be fair, we haven't exactly got a state-of-the-art training ground to start with, have we, to bring out these players in the good old Portal cabins in full force. Samba football was not to like. Champions League, here we come. Brazilian players adapt fast. Well, they're going to need to. They're going to need to, I think. Here we go. So let's look at this optimistically. What if it does work? What if we sign 2 or 3 players in the Brazilian league? They do work. They come in and they buy into what Lopetegui is doing, and it's a little bit more of an expansive style of football. As I said, Mike, we'll all be sat here at Christmas drinking our lemonade, going, "This is brilliant. West Ham is revolutionised," and all of a sudden that's down to Tim Steidten again.
Yeah, well, we can't knock what he's done already, Jake, can we?
Yeah.
What he's done for us. So, I mean, yeah, he's found a few little gems. So, yeah, we can't knock it until we've seen the outcome, mate. And we won't know that until about 10 games in next season.
Yeah. Absolutely. The proof, as I said, will be in the pudding. Look, my final thought for this would be, I hope it works. I really do. I've got my full backing is with Tim Steidten. He's done nothing so far to suggest otherwise with the players that he's brought in my opinion, whether they're all him or some of them were him. I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't care. You know, he's the person that has overarchingly brought these players to the football club. He must think this lad is special to spend 20 or 30 million pounds on a very limited transfer budget on him to bring him over as 18 years old. Tim Steidten is not stupid. He revolutionised Bayer Leverkusen. He's come over to West Ham and he started the recruitment off well. He's not stupid. He's a man that's gone around and he's a man that has got a decent knowledge, probably better than all of us three. He's got a better knowledge of football. I hope.
Sure.
I hope that he's right. I really do. It's a gamble. We all know that, but I hope it's a gamble that pays off. Otherwise, there'll be serious questions asked of Tim Steidten. Right. Our final comments on this. We'll come on to defensive players in a moment. Lopetegui brought in 15 and got rid of 19 in his first season at Sevilla. They won the Europa League and finished in the Champions League places. Stop getting me excited. Let's just go back down to reality here, shall we? We're going to let go about 6 players. We're going to bring in 6 players. We're going to finish 10th. It's going to be a good season. No, just joking. If we have faith, if we have any faith in our recruitment team, we have to imagine they have asked all these difficult questions already. I feel that the risk is worth taking. Exactly. I agree. Exactly. I just hope. I hope that we are our faith is restored in Tim Stein, and that is what I would say. Right, let's move on, shall we? To our defensive situation. Ogbonna's gone. A really nice send off for him. Just a shame we couldn't do it in person on social media, nice video to send him off, which was good to see. Ogbonna's gone. Probably rightly so. Firstly, we'll tackle that before we get into the bigger problems and scenarios here. Firstly, Gary Ogbonna's gone. Magnificent servant to the football club over the 9 years that he was at Claret and Blue. Just a couple of favourite moments from Ogbonna for you?
Probably the header in the FA Cup replay against Liverpool. Obviously, remember that one. And well, he got a goal against City as well. I liked away from home. He came with a few good goals. Even last season against Arsenal, away, he was magnificent. I think he rarely let us down. Seems a very good lad, very popular lad. So I've got nothing but praise for him. So yeah, good luck to him in the future. I'm not sure he's going to carry on playing or whether he's going to retire, what he's going to do. But yeah, I've got fond memories of the guy.
Absolutely. Mike, should you echo that?
Yeah, proper Italian defender, and he's been a great servant for us. Yeah, a few good moments. I remember that Liverpool goal. Yeah,
last minute.
But like Gary just said, a fantastic game against Arsenal when we beat them at their place. He was absolutely superb. And to be fair to him, he'd had a couple of ropey games this year. Got ripped apart up at Liverpool a few times, and to be totally honest, we all looked at the lineup, didn't we, against Arsenal? And, oh no! But hey, he proved us all wrong, and he was superb, absolutely superb. And I just like the way he was around the team. If he wasn't in the team, I mean, the final in Prague, he was. You could see what it meant to him. It meant so much, and I think he's a real proper team man, and he'd be missed from that side of it. I think. You need guys like that in your changing rooms. So, yeah, Absolutely. It'd be hard to.
Yeah, for sure. I just froze there. Apologies. Look, we were having a really good first 20 minutes of the show there. Then Mike mentioned the Liverpool game in the Carabao Cup, and mine and Gary's both faces just went, oh my God, PTSD's just returned. Just returned. That 5-1 game at Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. We didn't need to go back there, Mike. Please, we didn't need to go back there. So that's right. It's all right. To be fair, Mike, that was one of the very few games we conceded 5 away from home last season, and you weren't there. No, in all seriousness about Ogbonna, one thing I did take, a couple of things. He said in his leaving video thing that he won the league over with Juventus in his last season before he came to West Ham. And then he said, throughout my whole career at West Ham, all I wanted to do was just win something. And how special that Conference League win was for him. He said it was unexplainable. And he also came out in an interview earlier on in the year, and he was asked what the most important goal in his whole West Ham career was over the 9 years. What was the most important goal for West Ham? He said, I could say Bowen's goal in Prague, I could say one of my goals, but he said the Andrei Yarmolenko goal that effectively kept us up in the lockdown era against Chelsea. And I think that's quite symbolic of the man that he has been at West Ham. He's a huge loss in the dressing room. I can imagine he's a vocal voice, he's experienced, he's one of the leaders in the dressing room that potentially we're lacking, and I think we'll miss him next season. A couple of brilliant performances alongside a couple of pretty poor ones in the last season, which has probably signposted his departure, if we're honest. But we can't take away that fantastic performance against Arsenal. I was sat next to you, Gary, in your lovely front room. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like you rolled back the years that night, and just a special player. Go down, as a real cult hero at West Ham, a real decent servant over the 9 years. At the football club. And of course, when you talk about that Liverpool goal, to me, in my mind, there's like the two last moments at the Bow Lynn. It's that night against Liverpool where he scored that goal, and then the last night at the Bow Lynn, and he was a part of that as well. Oggy, top guy. Oggy gets the spuds, brilliant. We so unlucky, Lanzini and Oggy, but we haven't discussed the injury as well, which sort of hindered him a little bit. He was playing quite well when he got the injury, and just tore him apart a little bit, Mike, didn't it?
Yeah, set him back a bit, didn't it? Which was a shame, But I mean, Jake, when you get to that age, you can't shake them off. You get injuries. Tell me about it. And they're just harder to shake off. And
yeah.
I felt for the guy, you know, I did, you know,
Absolutely.
like Lanzini, you know, it's hard. It's hard. You get an injury and you get further on in your career, and yeah, it gets tougher and tougher, harder to get back fit again. You know, your body don't heal as well. So, yeah, but you know, he was obviously determined to get back, and he got back.
He did. He did, and and you know, in some games he did a fantastic job. Talking about people rolling back the years, Joe Cole has just scored in the Soccer Age game going on at Stamford Bridge tonight. We're losing predictably 2-1 as we lose every year, but Joe Cole has scored at Chelsea, so he'll be like a Chelsea ambassador tonight. Then he'll be at West Ham at the start of the season. He'll be a West Ham fan again. You know, we know what you like, Joe. We know what you like. Right. Troy says, super important player and consistent until the big injury. Absolutely. Oggy was clever. Had the Juventus training, would foul and push people just enough to put them off, but not give away free kicks. A really streetwise defender. I think that's a fair comment. Absolutely. Give us a younger squad, more interesting in football with hope for the future. More than that would be a bonus. Yeah, I think that's what we are working towards. Ryan, hope you are well. Thanks for joining us as well. Right, next up in this defensive section of this. So there's been links more pertinently about Nigel Gerd moving away. Around a 20 or 30 million pound price tag has been put on him for potentially leaving West Ham this summer. So we'll start with him. A, can we afford to let him go? And B, would you let him go, Gary?
Yes and yes. I think the guy has mentally checked out from West Ham. I think before Christmas, if I'm not wrong, he decided he didn't want to play for West Ham so he could stay fit for the AFCON. And then likewise, at the end of the season, he hasn't really pushed himself to get in the team. And he's been on the bench a couple of times. But I just think the guy's not settled for whatever reason, family reasons or footballing reasons. I like him in some aspects. I think he's a good passer of the ball. He's a very skillful player, got good vision. He scores some important goals, but unfortunately, he does lack concentration at key moments, and he lets the ball. He ball watches a bit and lets the man wander. And I think we paid 35 million for him. You know, I think I would accept 25, 30. That'd be a good, fair price, and be on his way. So yes, I'd let him go.
I'm going to be honest, Mike. I sort of forgot about him towards the end of the season. I just forgot he was there. I forgot he existed, to be honest. And mentally checked out is probably the correct term to use from West Ham. Just sort of dwindled out into nothing, really, towards back end of the season. Yeah. Did Nigel Gerd.
A real shame, because I thought there was a real player in him. He's got a wonder, a left foot as well. But Gary's on it. Concentration levels. Just not there. He's got the pace as well. You know, he's got everything to make him a good defender. Towards the end of the season, he wasn't fit. And did he really want to get himself fit? I think, you know, as soon as the Morocco game comes, he's there. You know, yeah, it impressed me playing for Morocco. And when we got him, I thought, yeah, we've got a hell of a player here. But yeah, too many mistakes. That day Absolutely. At Fulham, I thought it was a bit. To be totally honest, it helped. Creswell alongside him, who was getting ripped as well. And yeah, I think
again, Mike, you keep bringing up these really, really bad days from last season.
I can't help.
There's just too many of them.
Yeah, there is. To be totally honest, yeah, we could sell him to someone in Saudi and get really good money for him, and get someone in like. I think someone like Max Kilman, who obviously Lopetegui would you know, he knows all about. So yeah,
I don't know. I'm a little bit more on the fence. I agree to an extent, you know, with everything that you said in terms of him, but I just wonder whether he would be a changed player in a changed system. If I'm honest, we've discussed there. His passing range is exquisite. You know when it wants to be. Some of the balls that he pinged when he was on form, crossfield balls straight onto the chest of Bowen, whoever. You know, that part of it, fine. Pace, fine. But you know, I think was it you, Mike, that mentioned that his concentration. It just goes. It just goes. He just switches off like a PS4. It just goes like. Bang, and it's costly. It is costly. it's a decision that Lopetegui's got to make here. He can either try and improve him and get him to the defender that he can and probably should be, or whether he lets him go and tries to bring in his own player. That's got to be the decision that Lopetegui makes over the next few weeks, and make it sooner rather than later, if it were me. And I wouldn't be opposed to either way. I'd be excited to see him in a new system and hopefully see him thriving. And I'd also understand why we'd let him go because of the performances that he's put in over the last season. I am, on the fence on that one. Another one, a certain manager had an agenda against. Well, there we go. There we go. Agerd looks like the perfect signing and a model pro. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know with Agerd. I think there's potential in him which you can't say about some of the other centre halves that we had or did have at the club. And just maybe there's potential in there. Lexi, thanks for joining us. I hope you are well. Again, so easy to knock off the ball. Just those traits that were really good at the start of his West Ham career, they went away, and overall he became a worse player. Maybe a confidence boost, and just to kick up the backside is potentially what's needed. Kurt Zouma is next. Can we afford and will we sell Kurt Zouma this summer, Mike?
I don't think so, because we can't afford to lose him. But, you've got to get people in, haven't we? It's still early days yet. It doesn't officially open, does it, till the end of the month?
June 14th.
June 14th is the English one, and the international one's the start of July, I think. Yeah.
Okay. The month, but, so we're still early, it's still early, and at least we're working on things. We need to things start happening in the next couple of weeks, definitely. But we can't afford to let another centre-back go if we've got no one else coming in.
Exactly.
We've already got to replace one. We're talking about getting rid of two more. That's three centre halves that we've got to find. And that might be difficult to find the right quality because the sort of quality we're going to need is going to cost you a lot of money.
Exactly, and that is the conundrum that we've got to find here. Whether we're going to go and get 20 or 30 million pounds for a guy, that's all well and good, but are we going to reinvest it back in and get the centre, because we're already a defender down here with Ogbonna going, so we've got to replace him before we start. And if we let another defender go, we've got to replace him as well, and maybe we need another centre half as well, just to ensure that we don't find ourselves in crisis mode the midway through next season, just to be safe in that sense. Kurt Zouma needs an operation. I'm no doctor, I'm no knee specialist, but I think he needs an he needs an operation. He's been injected all about to keep the pain away. That's obvious. We know that. His knees have been battered to the point of he's hobbling constantly. There's not much running going on. It's overly infused hobbling is the only way that I could explain it, if I'm honest. He needs an operation, and he needs maybe like what Richarlison had. He was awful. He went and got an operation and he's looked better. He needs to be freed, Zouma. If it can't be freed, then I don't think I could watch another season of him hobbling about. He's brilliant with his blocks and his interceptions and all the rest of it, but I don't think I can handle just him and the way he goes about things, Gary, because it just stresses me out.
Yeah, he's a sad, I don't know what's the word, sad image of what a player he used to be, because he's a rapidly deteriorating asset, unfortunately. Because mentally, I think he's probably the best defender we got. The way he reads the ball, his situations, the way he marks. If you look at his stats, he rarely has to make a tackle because he's always in the right place. He's a very clever footballer, but he's just falling apart. As you say, Jake, he needs an operation. So I honestly can't see anyone buying him. He's in his last year of his contract. So, we need to do something with him, either operate on him, try to make the best out of him, or, as you say, Jake, we let in 73 goals. Unfortunately, as a captain, he's got to take his fair share of that last season. What he's like behind the scenes, I don't know. Whether he's helping young Casey along, that'd be nice to see. Because if he could pass his brain on to some of the other defenders, because his position is superb. Yeah. If he could pass that on, is worth keeping. But otherwise, like you, Jake, I can't bear to watch him struggle through another season, because he turns like I do first thing in the morning, which is never a good thing, I say.
Exactly. Well, yeah, there we go. That is an analogy that we all didn't think we'd hear coming on here tonight, didn't we? But yeah, the sort of sentiment of it is I agree with it. And if he can pass his knowledge and wisdom on. Absolutely, he's the best football brain that we have in that defence by a long way. His positioning, if only the execution could be better in terms of his agileness and his mobility, if it could be better, then of course we'd all be saying keep him. But look, I don't think we can afford to let him go, and he needs those knees. They need a rest because he's struggling. That is for sure. The only other aspect of Kurt Zouma, there's been a report today come out that apparently Julian Lopetegui is going to strip him of the captaincy. Sorry, I didn't say that quick enough. He's going to strip him of the captaincy. I agree with that. Mike, do you?
Yeah. I never thought he was proper captain material, to be totally honest. Like you said, we all know he can read the game, and the state of his knees, he does a brilliant job at times. His defense is good, but he doesn't look like to me to be a proper leader. I mean, we've lost one leader in Mark Noble. There's a leader in Ogbonna. I mean, we need someone else to step up, and I don't think he's not that man for me. He's not an out leader like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Lopetegui, he must know. He must have looked at all these players. He's been looking at them for some time now. He knows in his head what he wants to do with that defence. It needs a lot of work. We can all see the amount of goals we conceded last year was really poor. So he knows it needs a lot of work and some new players to come in. So, yeah, let's just hope it happens.
Absolutely. I was dubious of him giving the captaincy, but I stood at the Amex earlier on in the season, and he was, he was going, and there seems like a bit of unity within it. We've lost leaders rapidly over the last 3 seasons, and we all know who they are, and we need that reignited. Who would you give it to? The first 3 names that come into my mind, Gary, are Bowen, Alvarez, and Soufal. Who would you go for, captain?
Bowen, Alvarez, Soufal. Yeah, I don't disagree with it. Soufal's a strong call. Maybe you don't fancy Ward-Prowse in that list?
No. To be honest, I think I'll be surprised if he stood here if the season starts, if I'm honest.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be a Julian Lopetegui sort of player, but
No.
He's certainly captain. I think we need someone with a stronger personality, stronger voice there. I know we don't talk about him much, but we do miss Declan. He's a big presence in that midfield, and we need someone. That's a hard thing to say, but someone of that sort of presence on the pitch to Noble, Rice, to drive the lads on. Yeah,
absolutely. Mike, any suggestions?
Probably Alvarez or Soufal. Yeah, either one of those two, really. Soufal, in my mind, he could be a leader. I think he could be a leader. Alvarez, yeah, he seems to have that strong personality. It's booked too many times, I'm afraid. But
Antonio, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Trouble with Antonio is that he
don't want a forward. For me, I don't want a forward as a captain. Yeah. It's like Harry Kane. I wouldn't have a captain of England, full stop. I always think you need someone, a midfielder or a defender as a captain. I don't like goalkeepers as captains either. I mean,
no, I don't.
I like someone to be out there in the thick of it to be captain.
Absolutely. The issue with having sort of Antonio as captain, look, we mentioned the forward aspect of it there, but Antonio does more moaning than anyone. If he doesn't get a foul, he's up and he's throwing his arm and he's going on the rest of it. And I know Rice did that to an extent when he was captain, but I just think I'm leaning towards Alvarez. I echo what Mike says there about having your captain as in the heartbeat of the action in midfield or as a centre half. For me, I'd be leaning towards Alvarez. He ain't going to take no crap from anyone, is he? If we're being totally honest, and if he can communicate with everyone effectively, I'd be leaning towards Alvarez as a new captain, a real strong leader in there. I think he's captain for Mexico, and I think he could be captain for West Ham. Any final thoughts on the captain debate?
Yeah, I think that we could do the Man City model, where the players obviously let the captain and Pep steps out of it. So that would be something that maybe we could consider.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right, next up, we can talk about Ben Johnson, something that we've discussed heavily over the course of the season. It looked like he was going. I now think You know, I'm inferring that he's not going because we announced the players that we're letting go as free agents, Anang and Ogbonna. To me, Johnson would have been part of that post if he was going. And it's come out tonight. X has said that West Ham are becoming increasingly optimistic that a new deal for Ben Johnson can be agreed. Now, I'm becoming increasingly optimistic that I'm going to get 3 A-stars in my A-levels. Will it happen? Probably not. So increasingly optimistic is a term to be used loosely, but positive is what I'm saying. I want Ben Johnson to stay at this football club. And it also lends, Gary, to your point of the homegrown quota as well. And I think he's an asset.
Yeah, he is. I mean, the 3 A-stars, Jake, that's in your remit. So just knuckle down and work hard and you'll get those. But Ben Johnson, I think he's been a bit part player now, for 5 seasons, probably 5 or 6 seasons. And I pivot on him because some days he looks awful, just looks dreadful. And other days he looks really good. So I'm not sure whether it's us as a club not finding his right position and also not giving a run of games, or whether it's him just being someone, he seems just really nice, you know. Every time you see him on the pitch, he seems to look really nice.
Yeah.
And it's always like, Ben, playing goal. Yeah, no problem, I'll have a go in goal. And yeah, Ben, up front. Yeah, no problem, I'll have a go up front. You know, he just seems, you know, you want someone a bit nastier, a bit more, I don't know, he seems to have everything. He's got pace and ability, but he just seems so nice all the time. So, I don't know, that's what I think about Ben. He's just nice, you know. Good old Ben, you know. That's what I think about it, really.
That's interesting. No, to be fair, I'm going to be honest, I've never thought of it like that. But do you know what? That is a sort of vibe that he gives off. I mean, the issue was never money with Ben Johnson in terms of a new contract. It's game time. He wants to be playing football. Oh, can you not hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, Mike, can you not hear me? Oh, Mike, can you hear me? No, I'm going to kick Mike out because he obviously can't hear me. Come back in, Mike. Mike's lost all his sound. He looks bemused. Oh, he's gone himself. Anyway, Mike was so mortified of the Ben Johnson debate, he decided to not hear anything and just leave. So cheers, Mike. But the question I was going to put to Mike was, I've forgotten now, I completely lost my train of thought, is that he was... Deary me. He was everywhere last season. He played in midfield, played left back, played right back at various points of the season. He wanted game time. That's what he wanted. That's what I was getting at. He wanted game time in his contract because he could go elsewhere and get that. But it looks like he's now going to stay at West Ham. So he must be giving game time guarantees, Gary.
Maybe, but he needs to be stronger and stake a claim, in my opinion. If he wants to play midfield, he should say to Lopetegui, I want to play midfield. Or because I personally don't think he's a right back. That's me personally. I think maybe he can make a centre back if he's got good someone alongside to coach him in the early years, because he's got pace, got good brain. But I don't like him as a full back. His best games last season, I thought, were in midfield. But let's see. I don't think he's a top player either. So he's we need to see what we're going to do with him. He's a good homegrown utility player for sure.
He is. It's the question I was trying to put to you, Mike, before you decided to not hear anything and just leave. It's all right, don't worry. It's all right. Was that the issue with Ben Johnson has been he wants game time, so we now must be guaranteeing him that, otherwise he wouldn't be signing a new contract, is what we seem to be getting at here. So are you happy that hopefully Ben Johnson's going to stay at West Ham?
Yeah, I think we need him for the homegrown as well. But if he's staying, then he's got to play more for him. To be totally honest, there's no point in keeping him if he's not going to play him more. He's got a new manager, so it's a new start, and it's a clean slate. So, if he can impress the new manager, and the new manager can, they can get on. I think there's a future for the lad. He's definitely a player I've always liked. Gary did touch on it. He's had a few dodgy games at right back. Funny enough, some of his better games have been at left back.
Left back, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And a lad who is obviously right-footed. Usually his crosses were better with his left foot than they were his right. I don't know. When he was attacking down the left-hand flank, he looked more dangerous than he did from the right.
Was his goal at Villa foot? His left foot. That Villa goal, that was left foot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. That was a screamer as well, wasn't it?
Outside the box, wasn't it? I couldn't believe what was happening. Yeah.
I mean, there's a player in him, but for himself, he needs more game time. And Lopetegui must be saying to him, I'm going to give you a chance if they're working with him to get him another contract. We need him for the homegrown. It would be, again, another right back of need if he goes. I know they've kept Creswell on for another year. So we've still got 2 left backs at the moment. If he goes, that's another right back and possibly 2 or 3 centre backs. So that is, a big part of the defence, huge chunk.
But do you think any of our youth team can step in, like Scarles or Casey or
Casey? I like the look of him. I think there's a player there. He probably needs to go out on loan. The right sort of level. I think we've messed up our loans a little bit. With the Marshall, at West Brom,
that was a shambles. Yeah,
a few seconds here and there. He should have went to a League One club.
Yeah,
actually, Bristol Rovers wanted him at the time, and that would have probably been the right sort of team to go to. A League One team, a mid-table League One team, see what he can do. I think Potts went out and he did really well.
It'll be interesting to see what he does with Potts this season, actually.
Yeah,
interesting. Because I mean, Potts is the sort of difference here, because I don't know if everyone watching saw it. I interviewed a Wycombe Wanderers correspondent who's followed them week in, week out over the last season, and he didn't have a bad word to say about him. He said he was brilliant. He needs to push up. We'd love to have him back, but we understand that he was too good for League One at that point. So we've now got the conundrum whether we send Freddie Potts back out on the Championship or he gets a go, because no Wycombe fan that I spoke to has said a bad word about him. Brilliant. He's been flawless. Not the same as we said with Marshall. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Potts got to evaluate. You've got to evaluate with Casey. Got to evaluate with Earthy as well. So it's another thing. Flynn Downs, we're going to talk about him in a minute more centrally. But just those players, a conversation needs to be had there, Mike, to whether we're going to get them involved in the first team because A, we don't have any choice because of squad, or B, we're going to try and give them a go. That's the conundrum that has to be answered.
I like the look of Potts, though. I think he is, he's not a Declan Rice, don't get me wrong, because there's not many people in the world who are, but he is in that mode. And do you know what? I reckon another season on loan, but step it up in the Championship. Because, you look at these players that went out on loan. Take Harry Kane. He went off to Millwall and Norwich, and it took some time. I watched him a couple of games playing for teams like Norwich, and I thought, I don't know what he's seeing, this lad, but, he proved me totally wrong there, obviously. Sometimes they need a bit of time, they can see that there's a player in there, but they need more game time, and they're not going to get it if they come to West Ham in the Premier League. So they're probably better off trying to find a next step for him now, which would probably be a Championship club.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's take some comments and then move on to the final 2 topics of the debate. Shouldn't you be revising? I haven't got my exams this year. I've got a whole 12 months, but yes, I'm doing work days here. Do you want some evidence? The work. Oh God, it's all going to fall apart now. The work is here. Don't worry. It's all under control. It's all under control. 3 A stars are by no means guaranteed, but Gary's got confidence. I know where he's getting it from, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it with both hands. Right, let's take some of these comments. Considering he never had a settled position or trust from the manager, Ben Johnson was still a great asset. I hope we keep him. Those words echo there. Absolutely. Hi, guys, from an Aberdeen hammer. Gavin, thank you for joining us up in Aberdeen. There we go. Johnson is okay. His problems seem to be confidence. Got the Downs treatment. Shifted about from pillar to post. Downs is our final topic of the night, which I actually forgot about until somebody mentioned Flynn Downs. I completely forgot about that situation. We'll talk about that as an add-on at the end as well. Let's have a look here. Took Ben Johnson a little bit of time to recover from that. People keep mentioning these like real PTSD games, Brighton away. That was dreadful. I can just close my eyes and literally see Matoma grilling him down that side. I can see it, honestly, in my eyes. I can see it if I shut my eyes. But no, I get your point, mate. But he did end the season better for sure. A full back line, says Kai, I think is needed in this transfer window. It's getting to that point, unfortunately. Talking about players that are going to stay at West Ham, uninspiring or not, West Ham have announced a 1-year contract extension for Aaron Creswell this week. extending his stay at the London Stadium until the summer of 2025. I tweeted uninspiring but not rant-worthy, if I'm totally honest. It's not going to push us on to where we want to be, but it saves us. It pushes the problem on and saves us having to spend more money in that area this summer when funds are limited, Gary.
I think you summed it up very nicely, Jake. Uninspiring, but not worth ranting about. I mean, the thing with Cress, I think he's probably got one of the best touches in the club. Very, very rarely does he miscontrol the ball, and he's got a lovely cultured left foot, which we've all seen. But, Father Time catches up with us all, and he's certainly a victim of it with his legs, I'm afraid. So I think he'd make a good left-hand side of a back three. I wouldn't like to have him exposed as left back anymore. And maybe, I'm not sure whether he's capable of playing like a holding role in midfield or something. I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. I think he's really going to sit on the bench most of the season, in my opinion, but we'll see. Yeah.
People have lodged an issue. We've let Ogbonna go, but we've kept Creswell. Like, what's the difference in that situation? Mike, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think I can see the logic just about in it, just to keep him as a backup, full stop. And I think Gary's right there. When we played him as, in a back three, he's had some tidy games there. And do you know what? And one of the best games last year was the Freiburg game, and he was superb in that. He had a couple of bad ones as well when he played, but yeah, I could just see the logic. We just have to do it, don't we? We have to keep. I think we probably had to keep him more than Ogbonna, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There we go. That's got through that. And the fun, I was going to talk about Paqueta, but that's quite depressing, so we're not going to bother with that. In replacement, we're going to talk about Flynn Downs and that situation there. Southampton fans lauding him after their playoff success. They want him back at St Mary's next season. They feel it's imperative to any chance of survival that Flynn Downs goes back down to Southampton, and that made permanent. They've made it their mission. And then he went in the promotion party, which was quite amusing. I don't know, to be honest with this. It's difficult. I'd love to keep him, but if the player wants to go, you've got to let him go, Gary.
I don't think he wants to go. I think he thinks he's worth a turret. And I think I spoke to Southampton fans, and they, again, think he's been fantastic. And I've watched him a couple of times, and I think his confidence has grown a lot. I've seen him pick the ball up at the back and marauding forward, almost like Declan Rice is, and laying it off. I know people criticise him because he don't score many goals, and he doesn't. But I think this season's done him a world of good, made him feel like a good player, and I think he deserves a chance. I'd be very disappointed if we let him go, unless it was for stupid money. I'd be very disappointed. I think he's earned his chance. I think personally, I'd pick him over Souček for a start, and probably over Ward-Prowse as well. So that's where I stand on Flynn Downs. So I'll be very disappointed. If someone comes in and offers 50, 60 million, of course, see ya, off you go. But other than that, no, we keep him.
See ya, Mike's not Mike. Lit up. See ya. Mike, a player that I think we'd all like to keep, but I mean, I suppose we've got to control this situation, but then again, we don't, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to go, like I say, Jake, you've got to let him go, but I don't think he does, like Gary just said. I watched him playing for Southampton last year. I'm impressed with some of the games he's played. When he was injured, they fell apart. Southampton.
They did, yeah, absolutely.
And I know Southampton fans who are just absolutely begging us to let him go there, because he was one of their best players last year. Okay, yeah, there is a difference. It's the Championship. But what I'm saying earlier is about good players in the Championship got to be given a chance, and you never know. I think, to be totally honest, he could be more of a Lopetegui player than say Souček.
I agree, 100%. Yeah.
He moves the ball quite well in midfield. His positional sense is good. He does play that deeper lying position, which probably in competition with Alvarez there. But I think like Gary said, I think he probably wants to roll the sleeves up and give it a last go, at West Ham. If he could really make it, I think he would really like to make it at West Ham. He would like to, fit in there and play, a good part of the season.
Absolutely. Look, he's a boy of West Ham fan. He made the trip out to London to watch the all-important, second or whatever it was leg of our Bayer Leverkusen game in the Europa League. He's a West Ham fan at heart, but he's had a fantastic season down at Southampton. you know, I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't know what he's swaying towards, staying at West Ham and fighting for a spot, not being guaranteed, or going to Southampton and being, you know, the main man in midfield, being the man that, I mean, yeah, a couple of games where he had an illness, they were all going mental. They had a record-breaking 20-game unbeaten run. Downs gets injured, it all falls apart down there on the South Coast. He's vitally important to them. Their fans have been very vocal on that on social media. And look, I watched the final in full, did a watch along for it. I was impressed with him. I likened him to Declan Rice on my commentary, and I think he's a player that we can definitely revolutionise. And I think Julian Lopetegui could be the man to do that. Get him in to the manager's room, tell him we're going to start you over Souček, and give him what he wants, and let's get him in that midfield, because I think he's the future. Unfortunately, Thomas Souček isn't the future of our midfield. There we go. We've done 55 minutes. We've discussed good old Louis Guilherme and his potential move to West Ham United. According to Romano, he is on a flight as we speak, heading over to London to do his medical tomorrow. Whereas following him, potentially West Ham's new third-choice goalkeeper after we let go Joseph Anang. We talked about the implications and the whole situation there. We talked defensively about Ogbonna, Zuma, Agurd, Johnson and Creswell, and what we're going to do defensively in that little area as well. Talked about Flynn Downs at the end there. A very good 56 minutes. You two, you haven't lost your pundit ability over the few weeks we've had off, and I might get you back again. You never know.
Cheers, Jake.
Any final thought, gentlemen, before we wrap things up?
Just watch this space, mate, innit?
Come on, England in the World Cup.
Watch this space, did you say, Mike? What's going to happen? Are we got, you know, what's going to happen?
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Do I?
Yeah, England probably won't do nothing.
I do think the Iceland game's done Jared Bowen the world of good.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Didn't do him any harm, did it, that game?
No.
He started the game we won 3-0, and he didn't start the game we lost 1-0. So, I mean, there we go.
Exactly.
There we go. I haven't quite finalised what I'm going to do for the Euros yet. I don't know whether I'm going to go full at it or just do the odd show. I haven't decided yet, but there will be Euros content nevertheless, as England try and will probably fail to bring football home. That's it. A good hour of therapy talking West Ham. Hit a like if you enjoyed this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you're just joining now, go back. I'd highly recommend watching it. That would help us all out greatly. And until the next one, Gary, Mike, there's only one thing left to say, and it is come on, you irons. See him right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thanks for everyone watching in the chat. Thank you to my on-screen, what should I call you? My on-screen stars then. My on-screen contributors. Do you like that?
No,
Contributors?
No, that's good, mate.
Pundits? Yeah, we'll take that. Thanks for watching. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you guys.